The narrow way of the heart. Beloved friend, sit with me now, not in fear, not in strain, but in quiet sincerity. You have heard my words. Enter ye in at the strait gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way, that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way, which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Matthew 7:13-14. For centuries these words have been spoken with heaviness, as though I were warning of punishment. But listen carefully. I was not describing a road of cruelty. I was describing the condition of the human heart. The wide way is wide because it asks little of you inwardly. It is like a river flowing downhill. It requires no intention, no self-examination, no surrender. The wide way says, believe the correct thing. Join the correct group. Repeat the correct words. But the narrow way is different. The narrow way is like a mountain path. It is not narrow because the mountain rejects you. It is narrow because climbing requires intention. It requires longing. It requires love. When a man once asked me, Lord, are there few that be saved? I answered, strive to enter in at the strait gate. Luke 13:23-24. The word strive does not mean panic. It means engage your whole being. It means this is not passive. The narrow way is not found by drifting. It is found by desire. Let me speak plainly. The narrow way is the way of the heart awakening. It is the soul longing for something more than comfort. Imagine a seed. If the seed remains sealed, it is safe, it is intact, it is undisturbed, but it does not grow. For a seed to live, its shell must split. The narrow way is the splitting of the shell of the self. It feels vulnerable, it feels exposing, it feels uncertain, but it is the only way life emerges. Do you remember Nicodemus? He came to me at night, a sincere man, a teacher, a believer. Yet something within him was restless, and I said to him, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. John 3:3. He was confused. He thought of physical birth. But I was speaking of something deeper. Birth is not agreement. Birth is not intellectual conviction. Birth is the entrance of new life. When a child is born, everything changes. So it is when divine love enters the soul. Many have thought the narrow way meant strict religion. But I told you clearly, not every one that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father. Matthew 7:21. The narrow way is not calling my name. It is becoming aligned with the Father's heart. And what is his will? That you become one with his love, that his divine nature dwell within you, that your soul awaken. The wide way is self-sufficiency. The narrow way is humility. The wide way says, I am fine as I am. The narrow way whispers, there is more. The wide way is like eating endlessly yet never being nourished. The narrow way is hunger, real hunger, that finally seeks true food. This is why I said, blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Matthew 5:6. Righteousness is not moral superiority. It is right relationship. It is the soul longing for union with its source. Beloved, the narrow way is narrow because few are willing to feel their own hunger. Many distract themselves, many soothe themselves, many busy themselves. But deep within every human soul is a quiet ache. That ache is holy. It is the doorway. The narrow way is not about self-punishment. It is about self-surrender. Not surrender to domination, but surrender to love. Think of a tightly clenched fist. As long as the hand is clenched, nothing can be placed within it. When the hand opens, it becomes receptive. The narrow way is the opening of the fist of the heart. This is why the deeper revelations in your time have clarified what was misunderstood. Salvation is not a legal declaration. It is not a transaction. It is transformation. It is the soul receiving the Father's divine love until that love changes its very substance. That is the new birth. That is what I lived. That is what I taught. That is what Nicodemus was invited into. You wonder why few find this way. It is not because the Father hides it. It is because it requires sincerity. It requires you to sit quietly and say, Father, I desire your love more than my own control. It requires you to look within and allow love to reveal what needs healing. Many prefer certainty, but the narrow way requires trust. Many prefer admiration, but the narrow way requires humility. Many prefer belonging, but the narrow way requires inward honesty. Yet hear this clearly, the narrow way is not lonely, for I walk it with you. When you long for divine love, I am near. When you open your soul in quiet prayer, the Father responds. When you feel that gentle ache for something higher, that is the beginning of life. The wide way promises ease. The narrow way produces life. The wide way entertains the mind. The narrow way awakens the soul. The wide way is crowded because it costs nothing inwardly. The narrow way is chosen by those who feel the call to become more. And what is at the end of this path? Life, not merely existence, not merely continuation, but living union, living love, living transformation. The narrow way begins small, like a footpath in tall grass. But as you walk it, your soul expands, and what once seemed narrow becomes vast within you. The heart grows, the love deepens, the longing becomes fulfillment. Beloved friend, the narrow way is not about restriction. It is about direction. It is the turning of the soul toward its true nourishment. It is the choice to be born from above. It is the longing for divine love to dwell within you. If you feel that longing, you are already at the gate. Enter not with fear, enter with desire, for the Father's love is waiting. And when you receive it, you will understand. The narrow way was never meant to confine you. It was meant to bring you home.